ramifications of KWaun Williams signing with the Broncos. I'm seeing 2-year deal worth $7 million. I find it very interesting the differing approaches between Denver and the Niners this year. They're both, I'm looking at Vegas Insider. They have pretty much the same odds to win the Super Bowl, about plus 1,500. I have no idea what that means. I don't gamble because when I do, I lose. Plus 1,500. It's about the same. Give or take whatever sports book you're looking at. So they're right in the same spot, Denver and the Niners. And Denver's signing all these vets. They brought in Tom Compton. They brought in DJ Jones. Am I wrong? They're bringing all these Niners vets. All the vets the Niners no longer want, the Denver wants. KWaun Williams. And it's like, yeah, we're trying to win right freaking now. And the Niners are like, we're getting younger. Yo, 2 years, $7 million? Like, okay, so he was cheap. And is there an upgrade that you're waiting for? Like, you're going to spend a little bit more to get better at that spot? Or are you going to go even cheaper and younger? Because that to me is kind of amazing for a team that has plus 1,500 odds, which I don't understand.
I think, are you asking me what the 49ers are going to do here? Because I think the direction we're going to see them go at the slot. There's a couple of routes. They can go Diamador Lenore. I think fits really well. Lenore is about the same size as KWaun Williams. Okay. We've got to see him play in there a little bit more. We know that when we watched him in man coverage in camp, he's pretty good in man coverage. He struggled a little bit on the edge. It's a little bit different playing inside. He's a pretty good tackler at Oregon. So you might see him go there. And then the other route, like we talked about before when we were doing slot, discussing about the slot, was sliding inside Emmanuel Mosley inside, bringing Ambry Thomas off the bench to play on the edge during nickel and dime situations. I'm not sure if that one really fits good at this moment because, like you've mentioned, the size of Mosley, and the run fits could be an issue.
I don't know, Jack. I'm starting to wonder, like, how the Niners view their team. Like, they were 3-5. They went on a run. Do they look at themselves as the team that went 9-3 down the stretch, or the team that started 3-5? Because the way they've acted this offseason is like, we were in the NFC Championship game, but a lot had to go our way for us to get there. We had to have divine intervention in Green Bay. God had to literally reach his hand down, block the punt. I mean, a lot went our way. So maybe we just, keep our head down, stick to the process, stick to the plan, and not sign a bunch of 30-year-old vets just because we think we're 1 or 2 plays away. Maybe we're not. Denver thinks they are. The Niners are acting kind of like, you know what? We're good. We're good for sure. But let's make that move next year because we don't even know how good we are right now. Like, we don't like Jimmy. We don't know about the Trey. We're kind of lukewarm about the whole quarterback situation. Let's let the Denver. I don't know, man. How do they use themselves?
It's funny because as you're saying these things, what I'm hearing is everything that we heard from the 49ers after the 2019 season. Hey, if this play goes our way, if this happens, we're in the Super Bowl. Right. We're good.
So why do we have to do anything? Why do we have to do anything? Right? Exactly.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of those same things, and the 49ers I think the 49ers have some depth. Again, this goes back to the quarterback situation. I think if you have Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, I think you insulate yourselves to a lot of the problems that lack of depth could bring.
Fair. I'm surprised they chose Jimmy over DJ, KWaun, and Tomlinson. Yeah, they'd rather spend $40 million on quarterback than have a young quarterback and spend that money to support him. Interesting strategy, Cotton. I would go the other direction, but, they were in the NFC Championship game last year, so I'm going to withhold my snark for today. Richard says if they keep Jimmy and sign Sudfeld to those guarantees, it would be financial malpractice. I don't see them keeping Jimmy. Dude, they signed Sudfeld when they were convinced they were going to get 2 2s for Jimmy Garoppolo. Things have changed. Mm-hmm. Things changed. What do you think, Jack?
I think you're right there. I think that agreement between those two probably came down before they realized how bad the situation was with Garoppolo and how far they were.
That's why I don't believe their spin that they never thought they could trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Really? Then why'd you give the bag to Nate Sudfeld? What was that?
The only possible landing spot that I can see where this works out for the 49ers for Jimmy Garoppolo is Houston. That's the only location that makes sense for them.
I don't see why Houston would want to do it. They're not a win-now team. They don't need respectability. They just had a decent season from Davis Mills, who looks a lot like Jimmy Garoppolo. Why go backward? Unless you want the $27 million backup. Someone might want the $27 million backup. They should make a movie called that.
That's a good one right there.
They should. It could be the guy who played Kurt Warner, the 45-year-old actor who played 27-year-old Kurt Warner. He looked really old in that movie. Did you watch that movie? I didn't watch that movie.
I did watch the movie. I love the movie. I thought it was a great movie. The football scenes were not good, but the movie itself was very good.
Yeah. Well, it was based on a book by Mike Silver. Shout out Mike Silver. The King James L says, when does Lynch pay for his horrible mistakes? Lynch has been awful in free agency just in general, not to mention Thomas and Foster in the draft. It's hard to know what Lynch is responsible for, but let's put it like this. The big moves, first round. The first rounds 1, 2, and 3, and the big free agency moves, the big trades, spotty resume. A lot of the Niners' saving graces is their day 3 picks and their undrafted guys. Like Jerick McKinnon, Quan Alexander, Dee Ford, Solomon Thomas, Javon Kinlaw. I mean, he got Nick Bosa, knocked it out of the park. Debo knocked it out of the park. Dante Pettis. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, there's a lot of like big whiffs.
Trey Lance.
Big. We'll see, right? Guess we'll see. You slid that in there. It's devilish of you. Miguel says, and lost in the Super Bowl and lost in the NFC Championship. Talk about Jimmy. Talk about Kyle. Talk about the whole Niner team. Trey Niner says the way this offseason is going, this team seems to be in a halfway rebuilding phase, allowing big contributors to walk and no big signings. Better? Yeah, that's how the Niners do business, man. They are planning for now and in the future at the same time, always. What they did last year. That's how they do.
Yeah, I agree with what Trey just said here, because that's kind of what I just mentioned a few minutes ago about it, where it seems like they're trying to get younger right before we got into the KWaun Williams discussion.
David wants to know, Jack, did you see anything at all that would point to Banks being able to start next year?
No, we didn't really see a whole lot of him during training camp. We saw we saw him through the Chiefs game, and he got hurt there, and then we didn't see him again.
We saw him with the pads on.
Yeah, we barely saw him. So there wasn't a whole lot that we saw. The only reason that I would base it off of him maybe being able to be a starter is from what we saw of his college film. And now if he's going back to if he does go back to the left side, is he able to play at the level that he did at Notre Dame in the NFL, which is tough.
The thing with this question, hold on, the one before, it's hard for us to gauge run blocking, running, run defense, tackling in practice because they don't tackle. So when we're like, what I can tell you from training camp is who's good in pass protection, who wins, who loses in pass protection, who gets open, who catches passes, who breaks up passes. I mean, completion percentage. You can tell all the passing game stuff without a pass rush, but who's a good run defender? Who's a good run blocker? That's why I thought Tom Compton was trash. You can't see run blocking in practice. I mean, really, I can't. Maybe you can. I can't see that at all.
It's really hard. But you're right. We get to see the one-on-ones, and that's a lot of the 49ers, other than Trent Williams, the 49ers offensive line across the board really struggles in pass protection.
Really, they make guys like Kentavious Street look like Aaron Donald daily.
Yes,
just in pass pro. Neil says Jimmy Garoppolo is the Cassie of the NFL, except he's not loved. Is that a Euphoria reference? Could it be?
I don't know. I haven't watched that show.
Far the worst character on that show. Can I say that? Like her story is so. I mean, I'm only in the first episode of the second season, but like, what is the most basic girl ever? Everyone else has these like crazy stories, and she's like, anyway. Not a big fan of the Cassie character. I'm more of into. I like Zendaya and Fesco. They're both from Oakland. Very interesting. A lot of talent comes from Oakland. Anyway, are the Niners trying to flop or low key rebuild? Are the Niners trying to flop or low key rebuild? I think they're very confident and complacent this offseason. Just like 2020. We basically won the Super Bowl last year. I mean, the Rams won it, but we're better than the Rams. So we're the best team in the league. Why mess with this? That's basically we've seen this before. The Niners are very high on themselves. Very.
I think it's a low key rebuild.
Low key rebuild. A lightweight low key rebuild. Chris says Jimmy's going to win the competition. Warner and Z's will be resting during Jimmy reps. No Jimmy at joint practices. Lance has no chance. Thank you, Chris. That's exactly how I'm thinking, man. Deck will be stacked against his kid, and they can always be like, you know what? Another year on the bench is good for it. Worked for Aaron Rodgers. Worked for Steve Young. But putting $27 million on the bench, when did that ever work for anyone ever? I would love to see him put $27 million on the bench, please. And because now it wouldn't just be 27, it would be 29. Sudfeld too, right? Please do that. They would have the most expensive quarterback bench in the world, by far. Ooh.
Yeah.
Can't wait. It would spend more on backup quarterbacks than a lot of teams spend on starting quarterbacks. I can't wait to say these things. Please, Kyle, let me say these things. Fantasizing over here. Tappy has said any free agent players out there to replace KWaun. Yes, Stephon Gilmore. How about that? Slide him in the nickel.
There's not a whole lot because the guys that were there, a lot of people thought would slide into that kind of spot nicely have gone other places now.